Hey guys, welcome back to YPW, the home of all things professional wrestling. Make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're already subscribed to the channel, make sure you turn on notifications as we are releasing new videos. From his early years to his rise to fame in the WWE, UFC, and beyond, to what he is right now in the industry. Join me as I reveal the story of Brock Lesnar. There are many kinds of athletes in the world today. Some are meant for sports like football, basketball, baseball, etc. Others are meant for combat sports like boxing, MMA, and wrestling. And sometimes, one of those combat sports is such a freak of nature that he is able to make it look all too easy. One of those athletes is a top dog in WWE right now, and his name is Brock Lesnar. Brock Edward Lesnar. Yes, he is a wrestler who got to keep his real name. He was born on July 12, 1977, in Webster, South Dakota, the son of Stephanie and Richard Lesnar. He grew up on his parents' dairy farm in Webster. He is of German descent and has two older brothers named Troy and Chad, and a younger sister named Brandy. At age 17, Lesnar joined the Army National Guard, where he was assigned to an office job after his red-green color blindness was deemed hazardous to his desire to work with explosives. He lost this job after failing a computer typing test and later worked for a construction company. But don't feel too bad for him. His life turned around fairly quickly when he realized he was good at wrestling. But not professional wrestling, not yet. He instead was a near prodigy of amateur wrestling. Lesnar attended Webster High School, where he played football and competed in amateur wrestling, placing third in the state championship his senior year. He then attended Bismarck State College, where he won the Junior College Athletic Association NJCAA Heavyweight Wrestling Championship in his sophomore year. He transferred to the University of Minnesota on a wrestling scholarship for his junior and senior college years, where he was roommates with future WWE colleague Shelton Benjamin, who was also his assistant coach. Lesnar won the 2000 National Collegiate Athletic Association Division I Heavyweight Wrestling Championship his senior year, after being the runner-up to Stephen Neal the year prior. He finished his amateur career as a two-time NJCAA All-American, the 1988 NJCAA Heavyweight Champion, two-time NCAA All-American, two-time Big Ten Conference Champion, and the 2000 NCAA Heavyweight Champion, with a record of 106-5 overall in 4 years of college. You could tell that's a very impressive resume, one that would carry him very far in his life because it showed he had some very natural abilities. This was noticed in particular by a certain wrestling company. In 2000, Lesnar signed with the World Wrestling Federation. This was the promotion before it was WWE, and he was sent to its developmental territory, Ohio Valley Wrestling, OVW, where he met future friend and manager Paul Heyman. He formed a tag team known as the Minnesota Stretching Crew with his former college roommate, Shelton Benjamin, and together they won the OVW Southern Tag Team Championship on 3 separate occasions. Lesnar wrestled several dark matches in 2001 and 2002 before being called up to the WWF's main roster. When he did arrive on the main roster, it was like a tornado going through the place, and I mean that in the best possible way. He was touted as the next big thing, and he was so dominant in the ring that ring announcer Taz would say, "Here comes the pain," every time Lesnar's music hit. As was typical, he started out a bit slow to build him up in the eyes of the audience, but the feuds he was in weren't anything compared to the meteoric rise that he was about to get. In his first year with the company, he went and won the King of the Ring tournament, which ensured him that he was to get a world title shot. His opponent? None other than The Rock. The two had a highly anticipated match, and when the smoke cleared, Lesnar became the new champ, and was the youngest WWE champ in history at the age of just 25. Think about that. This guy was barely out of college, and was already the top guy of the brand. His ascension to the top was important because at that time, WWE was going through a brand split, and so Lesnar became a fixture of SmackDown to help cement the brand more, while Raw brought back the World Heavyweight Championship. Anyway, Brock had many big-time rivalries during his first run as the champ, including having a long feud with The Undertaker. Eventually, he would lose the title to The Big Show after manager Paul Heyman turned on him. This made Brock Lesnar a face for the first time in his career, and it led to a long story of him going after Big Show, Kurt Angle, and Paul Heyman in order to get his title back. He was able to do this by winning the Royal Rumble and beating Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. However, that match is now very infamous because Brock attempted, for the first time in his WWE career, a shooting star press that he botched by hitting the ring apron instead of Angle. He still won the match, but he got a serious concussion. He never attempted that move again in WWE. What was to follow was several runs at the WWE and World Heavyweight titles. He fought a lot with Big Show and Kurt Angle, but also fought against Chris Benoit, Hardcore Holly, and more. However, his WWE path was about to take a turn. You see, he wanted to leave the WWE to try to pursue a career in the NFL. But before he could do that, he had to go and do a feud with legend Bill Goldberg. Despite a good build-up for the match itself was maligned and betrayed by fans. Both Goldberg and Lesnar left the company after the match, more or less. Brock Lesnar would go to Japan to wrestle for New Japan Pro Wrestling, in which he became the IWGP champion, one of the few Americans to be allowed to hold that title. Ironically, WWE tried to stop Lesnar from being in the promotion, but all attempts failed and he kept going. But eventually, he stopped wrestling altogether to do another sport, MMA. Believe it or not, it's actually hard to transition from WWE and New Japan to MMA, and this was proven when Lesnar lost his first bout in the UFC to Frank Mir by tap out. However, he bounced back and eventually beat MMA legend Randy Couture to become the UFC heavyweight champion. After some other fights, Brock got deathly ill, including getting diverticulitis. And trust me when I say that's just one of the things that he had to go through. He went through a long process to get healthy, but he did get there, and he was able to continue defending the UFC title. During this time, Brock Lesnar was one of the biggest names in sports. He was the premier combat athlete, and he was certainly paid like one. He was one of the highest paid athletes in the sport and was making millions off of his matches. However, after more bouts with illness and a few losses, Lesnar retired from UFC, at least for a while, and went back to WWE, which people loved and hated. You see, the problem here is manyfold, not the least of which that in his first return with the WWE, Brock Lesnar was a full-time wrestler, and he acted like one. But his time with the UFC and other things behind the scenes had altered his perceptions of what it meant to be a wrestler and a champion. And thus, when he returned to WWE in 2012, he began a long stretch of being a part-timer. He would go and do a storyline, and then he would leave, then come back and do another storyline, and then leave. For example, he had feuds with John Cena, Triple H, CM Punk, and then did the impossible by beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania to become the first person to beat him at the event, ending the streak at an impressive 21 victories in a row. Then, after a brief absence, he came back to challenge John Cena for the world title, and their title was so much of a squash, meaning it was one-sided to an extreme, that it was marked as a new era for Brock Lesnar. Because in that match, he delivered 16 suplexes and 2 F5s in order to win, while Cena got in only a few moves overall. Eventually, he lost the title and went back to doing the very part-time feuds, and then it culminated at WrestleMania 33, where he beat Goldberg, who had unretired at this point for the Universal title, and this started a very long and painful road for fans who had to watch and endure Brock Lesnar not just being the champ, but only defending the title sporadically. And by sporadically, I do mean like every few months or so. You see, at this point in time, WWE had been on a decline in various ways, and WWE management thought it would be a good idea to have Brock Lesnar be their champion to boost sales and such for when they defended the title. But fans weren't fools, and when Brock would sometimes be off air for 3 months only to show up and win matches in less than 10 minutes, it was clear something needed to be done. But instead, WWE continued to put the belt on Lesnar, even having him hold the title for well over a year at one point. Then, just when fans felt that WWE had finally put the reign of Lesnar behind them, they brought him back again to get the belt in even more controversial fashion, including one time winning the Money in the Bank ladder match, despite not being in the match for the first 20 minutes or so, rushing in, and getting the briefcase to win with minimal effort. This was considered a major low point. But it wasn't the last one, for after losing the title to Seth Rollins, he then went and challenged Kofi Kingston for the WWE title, and Kofi accepted. And on the debut of SmackDown on Fox, he beat Kofi in a mere 8 seconds. No, that's not a misprint, or an exaggeration. The highly anticipated match between the two lasted a grand total of 8 seconds. By this point, fans were severely fed up with Lesnar, and yet WWE didn't care or wouldn't do anything about it. But true to form, he's only defended the title less than a handful of times, and when he does, it lasts mere minutes instead of being a true wrestling bout. He's heading into the upcoming WrestleMania with the title around his waist once again, and fans are praying to all that is holy that he won't hold on to the belt after it. In many ways, Brock Lesnar is the tale of two versions, because there's no doubt that when he debuted with WWE originally, he was a powerful athlete that was willing to do the work and get what was needed done to put on a show. But after his departure from UFC, both of them, his new attitude is more intense but also toxic. He still is a powerful athlete, but he's more reserved in his movesets. People joke that Lesnar only has 3 moves he uses in matches, and they're not exactly wrong. The age of wrestling we're in right now is one of expansion and a desire for good wrestling matches. But Brock Lesnar doesn't do that anymore, or at the very least, WWE doesn't want Brock Lesnar to do that anymore. And as long as they feel he's going to be the best wrestler to make them money, they're going to continue to push him despite what fans think. So, what do you think? What do you think of this look at the life of the story of Brock Lesnar? Can you believe the rise that he had and the controversial turns that he's done in his career? Are you a fan of Lesnar? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and thank you for watching YPW, the channel dedicated to all things wrestling. If you like this video, make sure you check out some of our other videos, and to be notified when we release new videos, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time.